The twin suns of Kareth Prime painted the sky in hues of violet and rose as Sail walked silently through the crystalline forest of Illuin, his mind humming with unease. The light filtered to the translucent leaves above, casting fractured patterns on the moss-like ground below. He paused at a fork in the path where the air shimmered, an echo of the ancient energy threads that ran deep through the planet. Something felt different today. The threads, usually calm and steady, pulsed erratically beneath his feet. For most Kaari, this disturbance might have gone unnoticed, a mere flicker in the vast current of their world's subtle symphonies. But Sail had always been attuned to what others ignored. The youngest member of the Council's outer emissaries, he had trained to feel the patterns of the land, the thoughts of others, even the ripples of time. Still, this sensation was unlike anything he had ever known. It wasn't a shift in the forest, nor in the people. It was coming from above. Returning to the cliff's edge, Sail gazed upward. The skies of Kareth were rarely quiet, always painted with the slow waltz of their sister moons, drifting nebulae in the flicker of celestial storms. But tonight, one light moved with unnatural precision, linear, deliberate. It cut across the sky like a wound, trailing flame behind it. He called out with his mind, sending the thought across the thread, a mental network that linked all Kaari minds in waves of emotion and memory. The elders responded with caution. The Vault of Eyes, Karetha's ancient observatory temple, had sensed the object's entry as well. They confirmed what Sail had felt. It was no celestial phenomenon. It was a vessel. Back at the High Grove, where Kaari gathered for communal decision-making, the news spread like lightning. In the amphitheater carved from living stone, their emotions swirled into a storm of uncertainty. The last time the Vault's prophecies had stirred was during the last alignment, a rare cosmic event believed to herald transformation or ruin. Sail stood before the gathered minds, his violet eyes glowing faintly. "I have seen it," he spoke, his voice resonating across the thread. "It does not belong to our sky. It is crafted, controlled scent." The eldest among them, Velen, flickered with apprehension. "Then the time has come." The words of the sky scroll spoke of an arrival, a breach of the known, a mirror without a face. "Should we meet it?" asked Neri, a historian whose mind had never touched the unknown. "Should we not shield ourselves, hide within the roots of our planet, and let it pass like a fever?" "It will not pass," Sail replied, gently but firmly. "It comes for purpose. It must be met, not with fear, but with understanding." His suggestion stirred debate. Kaari society, though ancient and wise, feared disruption more than death. Harmony was their greatest law. Yet Sail, young though he was, carried a conviction that many older minds found themselves orbiting. Permission was granted. Sail would form a small envoy, observe the object descent, and, if opportunity allowed, make contact, but no threading. No direct mind link with an unknown intelligence. That decree was clear. Some boundaries even Sail dared not challenge. Yet, the journey to the impact site took only a day, traveling by glider crests, living aerial creatures bonded to Kaari from birth. Sail flew with 3 others. Lyre, a tactician whose gift was foresight and motion, Ima, a healer and empath, and Rolith, an archivist whose memory was long and exact. Each felt the tug of fate, though none spoke it aloud. As they neared the foreign object, a change in the air became palpable. The land beneath them was scorched and glassed, a crater etched into the once untouched valley. Steam rose like breath from the earth. In the center rested the vessel, sleek, metallic, alien. It hummed faintly like a dormant beast. "Such sharpness," Rolith murmured. "No fluidity. So unlike our ways." "Perhaps their world demanded such shapes," Ima said, voice tinged of curiosity. They watched from the edge of the tree for hours, noting the slow emergence of figures from the vessel. They walked upright, like Kaari, but moved more heavily, burdened by their environment or perhaps their own nature. Their coverings were rigid, their gestures quick, precise. But their eyes, Sail magnified them using a thought glass, were wide with wonder, even fear. "They are explorers," he whispered, "and afraid." "Or invaders," Lyre countered. "Explorers with weapons are a danger. Fear can wear many masks, Sale said. It is not always hostile. Despite their misgivings, the group moved closer. Each step was slow, their thoughts tuned to silence to avoid alerting the visitors. Yet it was not enough. A sudden shift, a broken branch underfoot, caught the attention of the humans. One turned, lifted a cylindrical object, and from its tip sprang a beam of light that struck a nearby tree, scorching it black. Sale froze. The Kaori did not possess weapons. They did not need them. To them, violence was an echo of a mind in pain. But now, that pain had form, and it burned. "I'll speak," Sale decided, stepping forward alone. "If they must see us, let them see us unhidden." Before the others could stop him, he projected a soft burst of emotional calm through the thread, hoping, perhaps foolishly, that this primitive species could sense it. He stepped into the open. The humans shouted. The light beam returned, though it stopped short of him. Sale raised his hands, imitating their gestures of peace. The lead figure, a tall one with copper-toned hair and a pale face, lowered her device. Their eyes met. The air between them stilled. For a moment, neither moved. Then, slowly, the human reached into a pouch and pulled out a small, glowing disc. She activated it. A holographic projection emerged, showing a rotating star system. Earth, a soft voice spoke in a language Sale could not understand. Sale responded in kind, drawing light from a thread crystal embedded in his chest plate. It projected a three-dimensional map of Kareth, its cities marked with pulse points. He placed his hand to his heart, then extended it outward. The human mirrored him. There was no threading, no deep understanding. But there was something, recognition, perhaps, curiosity, a beginning. That night, as the humans retreated into their vessel and the Kari returned to their camp, Sale sat alone beneath the moons. His mind raced, not with fear, but with a sense of something he had only ever read about. The ancient text had called it Cyriac, the shiver that precedes change. He now understood what it meant. The humans had come, and the threads of Kareth were no longer steady. They were singing. Commander Alara Miles stood at the open hatch of the Endeavor, helmet in hand, scanning the alien landscape with cautious awe. The air was breathable, the gravity gentle, but nothing here felt safe. Jagged crystalline structures rose like frozen thunderbolts from the valley floor, and the atmosphere shimmered faintly, as if laced with invisible tides. She turned to the crew, 5 other explorers hardened by Mars terraform drills and Europa sea dives, and gave a nod. "Stage 1, observation and containment," she said. Her voice was calm, but her stomach coiled with anticipation. This was no barren rock or microbial soup. This was a living world. Lieutenant Kasim, the xenobotanist, was already running a scanner across the nearest plant-like structure, whispering to himself in disbelief. "Bioreactive lattice. Responds to proximity. This isn't just alive, it's aware." "Stick to protocol." Alara reminded. "Record. Don't touch. Not yet." She moved away from the group, down a gentle incline, drawn toward a series of rhythmic pulses registering faintly on her suit sensors. The terrain became less erratic, more patterned, as if intentionally designed. And then she saw them. Figures. Watching. She stopped cold. They stood half-shrouded in mist, tall and elegant, with skin like opalescent stone and eyes that shimmered violet. They didn't speak. They didn't move. But Alara knew instantly these beings were not beasts. They were intelligent, and they had been waiting. "Visual contact," she whispered into her comms. "Multiple entities. Humanoid. Observing." "What do we do?" asked Engineer Rees, his voice tense. "Do we fall back?" "No sudden movements," she replied, and slowly raised her empty hands, palms forward. One of the figures stepped forward. Alara's breath caught. His presence felt heavy, not in a physical sense, but as if he carried the weight of thought, memory, and judgment. His eyes locked onto hers, unblinking, and she felt, not heard, a wave of calm wash over her. Not language. Emotion. "Commander, are you feeling that?" asked Dr. Yui, their cultural specialist, stepping beside her. Her face was pale. "It's like a mental transmission, but no words. The alien raised his hand in mimicry of Alera's gesture. Between them, a shimmering field coalesced, a ripple of soft light, pulsating with harmonic rhythm. For a moment it held, then dissolved into the air. "We're being scanned," Yui said. "Emotionally, maybe cognitively. I don't know. It's not hostile, but it's intimate." Alera felt the weight of their mission shift. They hadn't simply discovered intelligent life. They had stepped into something sacred. The alien lowered his hand and produced a translucent orb that unfolded into a map of his world. It hovered, displaying intricate energy lines and glowing nexus points that hinted at a planetary consciousness, a neural network woven into the fabric of Kareth Prime. He pointed to their location on the map, then to the stars above. "He understands we're not from here," Yui murmured. "He's showing us our place." As if to say, "We see you." Alera responded in kind. She tapped her wrist console, projecting a rotating image of the Milky Way with Earth's location highlighted. A humble offering of transparency. The alien studied it, then stepped forward. A single crystal embedded in his chest pulsed with a quiet blue light. Alera saw the others behind him tense, as if bracing for consequence. Then it happened. A burst of light, gentle but brilliant, radiated from the crystal. Alera's vision tunneled, and for an instant her senses were not her own. She saw flashes, not memories, but emotional impressions. A sky filled with electric storms, the comfort of minds entwined in shared thought, a childlike sense of unity, and then a brief flicker of something darker. Fear, confusion, a burning curiosity turned to ache. Alera stumbled back, panting, the connection severed. The alien, too, reeled slightly, as if the link had overwhelmed him. "Commander!" Reeves ran to her side. "What was that?" Alera shook her head, still dazed. "I think we just spoke." The alien turned away, communicating with the others through a silent exchange of glances and subtle pulses of light across their skin. The rest of his group seemed unsettled, their calm shaken. They didn't expect her to feel so much, Yui guessed. Or maybe they didn't expect to feel us. For the next hour, the groups kept a respectful distance. The Kaari, if that was their name, offered no further contact but did not retreat. The humans recorded what they could. A silent understanding had been forged, tentative but real. As twilight approached, the alien, Sail, though his name was not yet known to the crew, returned to the ridge alone. Alera approached, against her better judgment. "You felt something," she said softly, not expecting a reply. He touched the side of his head, then his heart, then extended his hand, palm up. Alera hesitated, then reached out and placed her hand above his, not touching, but close enough to feel the warmth radiating between them. In the silence, something clicked, not understanding, but acceptance. And then a sound shattered the moment, a warning cry from Kasim, a flare of movement. One of the human crew had stepped too close to the Kaari perimeter, curious, careless. An auto-defense system reacted. A pulse shot forward, knocking the crew member to the ground in a heap of scorched gear. Chaos erupted. Reeves pulled a sidearm. Sail's companions flared with bioluminescent alarm. Fear surged between both sides like an electric tide. "Stand down," Alera shouted, throwing herself between Reeves and the aliens. "Nobody fires." Sail raised his hand again, not in threat, but restraint. The others hesitated, then relented. The Kaari backed away slowly, vanishing into mist-like figures in a half-remembered dream. Alera dropped to her knees beside the wounded crewman, burns but still breathing. "We just broke it, didn't we?" Reeves asked, lowering his weapon, guilt already sinking in. Alera didn't answer. She stared into the trees where the aliens had disappeared, her mind burning with possibilities. No, she thought, not broken. Changed. This was not an accident. It was a test, by fate, by history, by forces they barely understood. They had touched something fragile, something ancient, and now the balance was trembling. Back at the Endeavor, as the crew tended wounds and transmitted reports to Earth, Alera sat alone in her quarters, replaying connection in her mind. The empathy, the fear, the whisper of something vast and buried. She wasn't sure whether it had been a warning or an invitation. She looked out the viewport to the stars beyond. One of them was Earth, one was Kareth, and somewhere between the two, a path had begun to form. The door chimed. Yui entered quietly, holding a data pad. "We got audio-visual logs of the entire exchange," she said. "No words, but the emotions, there's something universal about them. It's like we touched the edge of a language we used to know." Elara nodded and forgot how to speak. She set the pad down and stood. "Tomorrow," she said, "we try again." The air in the valley had grown heavier, tinged with tension none of the crew could name, but all could feel. Dawn on Kareth Prime bled through the clouds like liquid sapphire, illuminating the landscape in eerie brilliance. Commander Elara Miles stood near the Endeavor, watching the shadows crawl between the crystalline ridges. She hadn't slept. Her mind kept replaying the moment of connection, the jolt of shared memory, and the flare of fear that fractured everything. Yui approached, her steps careful. Telemetry stable. The injured crewman, Ben, is recovering. No internal damage, just burns. Lucky. Elara nodded, distracted. The Kari haven't returned. No, but their energy signatures are still around us. They're watching. They're deciding, Elara corrected, deciding if we're worth the risk. In the distance, Lieutenant Qasim stood at the edge of the blast zone where Ben had collapsed the previous day, taking careful scans. Rees hovered nearby, his posture taut, hand never far from his sidearm. Trust was beginning to wear thin, stretched by fear and instinct. "This isn't sustainable," Yui said quietly. "We came to learn, not to intimidate." "I know," Elara replied, "but they've seen who we are now. Our reactions, our weapons, our fear. They're not unfeeling. That attack wasn't aggression. It was a boundary being enforced." Yui looked up at the crystalline peaks beyond. "And we crossed it." A soft vibration rippled through the ground. Elara stiffened. A low hum followed, melodic and resonant, like the deep echo of a massive bell. The crew turned toward the sound. From the forest's edge, the Kari emerged, not just a handful this time, but dozens. Their skin shimmered with rhythmic pulses of light, more intricate than before, a language of breath and pulse. Sale walked to the forefront, his face impassive but his crystal dimmer than the day before. Elara stepped forward, stopping just within the invisible boundary. She raised her hand again as before, but this time she knelt, a gesture of humility. Silence fell like a curtain. Sale mirrored the motion, kneeling as well. Behind him, the others mirrored him. One by one, the crew followed Elara's lead. In that moment, the air shifted. The ground vibrated softly with resonance, and the two groups sat in stillness, breathing the same air beneath the same alien sky. From Sale's side, another figure stepped forward. A female Kari, taller than Sale, her crystal a deep emerald. Her presence felt older, more commanding. Elara sensed it immediately. She was a leader, a judge, perhaps. The female extended a hand and conjured an orb of iridescent memory, the same as Sale had used before, but denser, brighter. It hovered between them, rotating with purpose. Images played across its surface. Kari cities made of light and sound, harmony among species, shared energy that fed both land and soul. Then the images twisted, metallic ships descending, fire in the skies, the world scarred by something unseen. Yui gasped. They've seen others. Maybe not humans, but others who came before. The orb shifted again. An image of Sale approaching Elara, hands raised, the moment they connected. Then the flare, Ben's injury, the raised weapons. It wasn't an accusation. It was a question. "Is this who you are?" Elara stepped forward. She tapped her wrist console and opened a sequence of footage. Earth's history. Not the triumphs, but the cost, wars, exodus, famine, rebuilding. Then the reach for the stars. A final image. The crew aboard Endeavor, arriving at Kareth. She paused it there. She looked at the female Kari. "We've made mistakes, but we're trying. We came here not to conquer, but to learn." The female Kari stepped back. Sale rose slowly and approached Elara again. This time, he held something different, an object like a seed, pulsing gently with inner light. He held it out, not as a gift, but a burden. Ilera took it carefully, and the moment her fingers closed around it, her vision flickered, not violently this time, more like a veil being lifted. She saw the Kari as they truly were, not rulers, not warriors, but guardians, keepers of a balance between intelligence and instinct. They did not expand. They waited. When other species reached them, they offered this seed, a chance. Ilera fell to one knee again, breathless. The seed in her hand shifted shape, reacting to her pulse. It began to grow, tendrils of light curling around her fingers like living vines. Reese took a step forward, alarmed. "Commander!" "Stand down," she ordered softly. The seed anchored into her palm, not painfully, but with gravity. She felt her heartbeat sinking with its pulse. Knowledge flowed, not data, but insight. Impressions of how the Kari harnessed their world without destroying it, how they healed their dead soil, how they prevented war not through domination, but through shared understanding. "This is their test," she said aloud. "They give us this and they watch what we do with it." Sale nodded once, then turned away, the others following. One by one, the Kari vanished once more into the trees, leaving only the hum of their departure hanging in the air like a fading cord. Back on the Endeavor, the crew watched as Ilera sat at the central console, the seed now suspended in a containment field, its light stable, its energy signature unlike anything Earth had recorded. "This could change everything," Yui whispered. "Food systems, energy, medicine, if we understand it. If we earn it," Ilera replied. Kasim was already pulling data from the field, his eyes wide. "This isn't just a biological artifact. It's partially quantum, maybe even partially conscious." Reeves looked unconvinced. "And what if we get it wrong? What if this thing rewrites us before we can even decipher it?" "That's why it was given to her," Yui said. "Not the scientists. Not the soldiers. The one who knelt." Ilera stood. "We're not uploading this to Earth yet. Not until we understand its implications. This isn't a prize. It's a question." Reeves frowned. "A question?" She nodded. "They've asked us what kind of species we are." Silence settled over the command deck. Outside the viewport, Karatha's twin moons had risen, casting pale light over the valley. Somewhere in the darkness, the Kari were watching, waiting. Ilera looked down at her hand. The place where the seed had touched her still glowed faintly. She wasn't afraid. Not anymore. Tomorrow, they would begin the real work, not of exploration, but of translation. Not of technology, but of trust. And perhaps, one day soon, they would answer the Kari's question. The third sunrise on Koret Prime burned gold across the horizon, slicing through the valley like molten fire. The Endeavor hummed quietly in its resting place. Shield systems calibrated to passive mode, its hull reflecting the alien dawn like a polished relic. Inside, the crew moved with measured quiet, no longer tourists, but witnesses to a profound shift neither science nor training could fully explain. Commander Ilera Miles stood before the seed, still suspended in the central chamber. Its light pulsed with slow, deliberate rhythm now, as though it had grown used to its new home. She watched it, unblinking, her hand occasionally twitching where it had first touched her. "It's adapting," Kasim said, his voice hushed. "The pulse rate is in sync with our ship systems. It's learning our language through frequency." "And what happens when it finishes learning?" asked Reeves from his post by the comms. "Does it speak? Does it decide?" "No," Ilera replied. "We do. That's the point." Yui entered from the medbay, her expression taut. "I've done a full psychological scan on you, Commander. You're clean, but different. The readings from your neural patterns show slight shifts, synaptic rerouting, increased frontal lobe activity. You think the seed altered me? I think it taught you. And your mind listened." Ilera considered that. It didn't frighten her. Not anymore. The fear had been left behind with their assumptions. What she felt now was something colder, deeper, responsibility. The Kari had given her more than a chance. They had offered a mirror. Outside the ship, the Kari returned. This time, They did not wait at the tree lean. They approached the landing zone directly, their movements synchronized, fluid. Sail led them once again, the older female just behind. The crystal embedded in her chest had changed from emerald to amber. Ilera exited the ship alone. She carried the seed in a containment cradle. As she walked toward them, she realized what was different. The Kari's lights were dimmer. Their steps were heavier. They were not here to celebrate progress. They were here for judgment. Sail raised his hand in the now familiar gesture. Ilera mirrored it. The female Kari stepped forward and produced a new orb larger than before. When it opened, it did not show Koretha's past, but a vision of its possible future. A great forest burning, black smoke strangling the skies. Structures collapsed under metallic weight. The crystal network shattered. The planetary mind silenced. A chill crept down Ilera's spine. She looked into female Kari's eyes and saw not anger, but despair. A warning, a memory, perhaps, of a world once threatened by others who had not chosen peace. Yui's voice crackled through the calm bead. They're showing us a conditional future. One path, if we misuse the seed, if we repeat history. I know, Ilera whispered. Then the image changed. The forest reborn, architecture grown like vines, cities humming in balance with the soil. Human and Kari standing together beneath twin moons, not as conquerors or subjects, but equals. The female pointed to Ilera, then to the second vision, then silently stepped back. They want a choice, Kasim said from the ship. They're offering partnership, but only if we make that choice now. Ilera looked at Sail. And if we take the wrong path? The Kari's body flickered with a dim pulse of gray. Sorrow. They'll retreat. Or worse, cut us off. We'll never see them or what they guard again. Yui answered. Ilera held up the seed. We don't need this to dominate, she said. We need it to learn restraint. She turned and carried it back toward the ship. The Kari didn't stop her. As she stepped inside, she placed the cradle into a secure core chamber, locked, shielded, and sealed. No one on Earth is ready for this, she said to her team. Not governments. Not corporations. Not yet. Rees exhaled. Then what now? We stay, Ilera said. We live here. We observe. We build trust with them. Slowly, we prove with time that we're different. And Earth, Yui asked. Ilera looked toward the sky. They'll ask, and we'll tell them the truth. But not everything. Some things must be earned. She turned toward the view outside, where Sail still stood watching. The two locked eyes. He nodded once. A flicker of amber crossed his crystal. Trust. Then the Kari departed once again, not vanishing this time, but walking, visible, present. An unspoken invitation had been extended. The crew would not leave Kareth. Not for a while. Perhaps not ever. The planet had not been conquered. It had not been decoded. It had simply been understood. And in that understanding, everything had changed.